Trump's an asshole.
This is a puppy report. Charlie is just shy of just like a day or two away from 12 weeks of age. And the first 2 weeks you get your puppy, it's going to be hell. And it was pretty hellish, but he's like letting me sleep in. Like I woke up last night at around 5:30 and he wasn't making a sound. So I went downstairs and I took him out and got success. He pooped and peed. So that's what you have to do. But what I want to talk about is barking and whining, because I think it's confusing to humans. And there's this thing that's put out by these positive reinforcement trainers who shouldn't be working with dogs at all, especially young puppies. Influencing a young dog improperly is a huge mistake. If you're going to one of these kindergarten puppy classes, make no mistake, you're not just wasting your money, but you're going to be influencing your dog improper at a very, very early age. You have to start telling, not doing certain things. You will start using the word no, and they don't use the word no. When they say purely positive, that is exactly what they mean. It's a bastardization of operant conditioning where they just use the positive portion. And operant conditioning is about both the positive and the negative and the alleviation of both. Okay? So if your puppy's barking or whining when it comes in, that's a sign that you got a healthy dog. That's what they do, and they're reacting instinctually because they want something. Either they want to go out or they want to eat. But to run over and give the dog something is a huge mistake. You're going to end up with a real bratty dog. Now, bird dogs, some of these bird dog breeds are notoriously vocal. They are. Cocker Spaniels can be vocal. They can. Most of the ones that I have known, our dog growing up was not very vocal. Well, I was older at this point when we had the English Cocker, but he wasn't a very vocal dog. But many times Cocker Spaniels will be vocal, and like GSPs, all of them, they can be vocal. And what it is there's like, when they're older, there's a buildup of energy and it has to come out somewhere, and it comes out as vocalization. That's how it is with Tonka. If he gets super excited, So Tonka, we use a bark collar with him to keep him quiet, and over a period of time, he's gotten much, it's, I can deal with it. But when the puppy's barking, if you run over, the puppy's barking, I got to do something to keep the puppy quiet, you keep doing that, you're going to be telling the dog's training you. Now, there's a couple things that you can give the dog as pacifiers so that the dog's, has something to do. And one of them is a deer antler. Deer antlers are awesome. I don't have one here right now, but most pet stores sell antlers at this point. And they're pretty easy to get, and you can also get them online, and they're much harder than a bone, They're much harder than a bone. So they last a super long time, and it's a perfect thing to give a puppy that's teething like Charlie here. Don't give him toys. Don't give him plush toys. Don't give him tennis balls. This tennis ball is not a chew toy. It's to work with Charlie with on retrieving. See how he's chewing on my shirt and stuff? That's because I'm working with him right now. Or I'm doing a video and not paying attention. Sit. Hold. But they will chew on things, but you don't want to encourage them chewing on stuff like plush toys. Plush toys, your dog's barking and you give it a plush toy, you're being a bad owner, and I'll tell you why. It's those plush toys, that's undigestible material. If you're one of these idiots that got BarkBox and they're sending you garbage, you should stop that subscription immediately. Don't give your dog anything like that. Your dog should be chewing on something that's natural. You could give a young puppy like this a beef bone. They could have something like that. But to be like, oh my God, I got to get the puppy quiet. You got a puppy. That's what they do. It's part of being a puppy. They're going to make some noise. And depending on the breed, some breeds make more noise than other breeds, and some individual dogs make more noise than other breeds. Charlie at this point has learned that barking really isn't going to help. Now he is a loud dog. I mean, he's sort of bratty in that he wants something, so he starts barking, but he's picking up within the few weeks that he's been here that doesn't, you know, get what he wants, so he's slowly getting up to speed. And that's how it is. You got a puppy, man, they're not going to learn instantly. Don't plan on them really picking up anything as far as obedience goes until they're around 4 months old. That's when the puppy's mind changes, and you know it's older at that point and can pick up on direction easier. It's so much easier. But the dogs, they will keep barking the rest of their life if you keep encouraging this behavior. Now, I have said no in a real loud voice to Charlie when he's in the crate, and he'll stop. So if I'm like in the kitchen dealing with Tennessee's this old dog that I got stuck with. She's got cancer. She came in, you know, I got talked into like, you know, working with her. And as soon as, you know, she came in, hey, the dog has a mammary gland that's, you know, has a tumor and bleeding, you know, and then I've got no help with her financially or anything. I got stuck with this dog. So I'm in there working with Tennessee, and the puppy, because I'm in the kitchen, whether it's because the puppy thinks that I'm going to go to the refrigerator and get him raw diet or what, the puppy starts barking. And a real loud pressure wave looking at the dog in the crate that's, you know, I'll poke my head around. No, real loud. You have to do it real loud. You have to send this pressure wave to the dog that the dog needs to stop doing this. Very important that you keep sending this pressure. Be quiet, dog. At a point, when Charlie's going back to Canada, if Charlie's still barking and stuff, we'll probably have an e-collar for the owner to use. You know, this is down the road. He's not even collar conditioned yet. We're not even considering anything like this. It's not necessary. It's a normal puppy acting normal, barking, you know, and throwing a tirade. You know, that's what they do. So don't sweat it if your puppy's barking and it's 9, 10 weeks old, 7 weeks old, 12 weeks. That's normal puppy behavior. But you want to start sending that message to be quiet. Now, on an occasion, which I haven't had to do this with Charlie, but if a puppy just is really persistent, I might scruff shake him. And scruff shaking him is just grabbing him by the scruff and going like this. You know, by saying no. And the first time you do this, the puppy might, you're going to catch them off guard. They might like that, like make a squeal. That's fine. That's fine. I like what Purina said. My dad showed me this thing that Purina wrote back in the 90s. And what Purina said was, now take this sort of with a grain of salt because it is Purina. And don't ever feed your dog Purina dog food. But they have been in the business for a long time of feeding dogs and that, you know, animal nutrition. And what they say is that a mother dog would not hesitate to make the puppy squeal. So either should you. Now that's with a grain of salt. You don't want to make the dog squeal, the puppy, you know, on a daily basis. But if your puppy is going off, and you've this 3 or 4 weeks and it's still doing this, you might not be using enough pressure. You might grab the puppy by the scruff and give it a scruff shake like this while saying no. You see, this doesn't hurt him. This doesn't hurt him. But if you came over and just did it out of the clear blue by the dog's barking, right, it might shock him. So the first time that you do it, a scruff shake, it might shock the dog and they might make a squeal. Now don't go like this. It's not like that. It's just like this real quick and then you're done. Dogs don't berate other dogs. So you shouldn't really do that with your dog. A correction is no, and then you're done. You understand? Don't go on and on and on. Human beings, we have a tendency to do that. Like you're talking to your kid. I don't have a kid, by the way, thank God. But you're talking to the child and you're like, you shouldn't do that. You know, that's gonna, you know, whatever. And you're going off trying to explain something to the child. That's different. That's a human being you're talking to. This is a puppy and they don't get corrected that way. You can't talk to the puppy. They just hear tone. They don't understand words. So it just needs to be quick and concise, and that's it. Move on. But your puppy that's making noises, that's normal puppy behavior. You have to expect some of this. If you were expecting to get a dog and for it to go easy, you're an idiot, There's no, even if you get a kitten, you're going to have problems, but a cat would be generally sort of easier. But if you didn't want you don't want your puppy to make noise, you shouldn't have gotten a puppy. That's like people that buy cockatoos and parrots and shit, and they're well, I can't stand the noise, or the parrot bit me. Well, you got a parrot. That's what they do. Puppies make noise. You should be, listen, trust me, while the puppy's making a noises and everything, just love it, because at some point the puppy's not going to be a puppy anymore. They grow real quick, and you might miss that bratty puppy behavior. This guy's fucking awesome. I'm serious. This guy, I couldn't have a better job than working with this puppy. Charlie is fucking awesome. Working with a puppy, it's great. I do this. I'll take these jobs where it's like a real young puppy, knowing that I'm not going to make as much money because the dog has to stay with me longer, but to get it up to speed. But it's so worth it. One, I get to work with a puppy, which is great. I love puppies. And two, I get to influence the dog at an early age. So that's sort of ensuring Charlie's never going to bite anyone. All dogs can bite, but, a dog that has been dealt with properly, you gain control of the dog's mouth, and the chances of that dog biting are very, very slim. He's never going to bite anybody. So for me to be able to influence a dog at an early age, it's worth it. I would rather make less money, right, and wake up in the middle of the night taking a little tarred guy like this out. It's worth it. It's totally worth it. And the best thing about Charlie is, Charlie, you hate Trump, don't you? Here, let Charlie tell you about Trump.
Yeah, fucking Carter Page. He's a dick. He's going to jail. Paul Manafort, he's going to jail. Trump, he's the ringleader. He's really going to jail.
So, what I'm saying is, just remain calm. The barking should be subsiding. You should be getting some peace, right? We have moments of peace. Like, I can go upstairs and Charlie doesn't bark. He knows I'm not coming down. I'm sleeping up there away from the crate now. When we first came up here to the house, I'd sleep on the couch by the crate. Put your crate in a room where you spend a lot of time. That's right. But when I go to sleep, I go upstairs, man. I'm not hearing anything out of him. He's being quiet, and that's what you want. You want to see a slow progression of the dog getting up to speed. Do you understand? It's not overnight. And when you're dealing with these young puppies, they don't, you can't jump the dog up to speed like I can with an adult dog. You give me, look at what I did with a Shiba. At a Shiba, Shibas are sort of difficult to train because they're so dominant and headstrong. They're sort of difficult for owners. It's not that difficult for me, because I see this in other dogs too. I had to use a lot of pressure, and there were some pressure waves that I had to use with Miko to get her to do it, but now she's doing it and she's liking it. So that's in a 3-week period. I can do that with an adult dog, but with a puppy, just relax. Keep on target, keep, while the dog, until that point where you're going to start using pressure, keep making sure that you're, encouraging the dog to do the behaviors that you want, and sort of discouraging the dog to not do the behaviors that you don't want. So you don't want to encourage barking and whining and anything like that. Don't ever give the dog anything, right? If they're making a bunch of noise. Don't. And remember, all dogs are different. All breeds are different. it just depends on the individual dog sometimes how vocal they are. Never train your dog to bark, first of all. Every time I see a non-pro do this, they don't train it as a command, so the dog just keeps doing it. And barking causes a lot of dogs to be put down every year. You think it doesn't? If you're in New York City and you have a barking dog, a lot of these dogs end up getting put down. Your neighbors complain, you start getting tickets. That's just how it is. The barking dog, it doesn't matter if here in Beaver Dams, if I had dogs out here in the backyard and my dogs are barking all the time, my neighbors would complain. There's not much, I could have a horse here if I want. Do you understand what I'm saying? But like, they, I don't really know who they would complain to, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because, I am in the country, and the houses are, it's not like we're living right next door, but the point is you don't want to annoy your neighbors. So even if it's not an issue with, the dog, you getting a ticket from like the city, like Brooklyn or New York City or whatever, or Chicago, whatever it is, even if you're in the country, you don't want a barking dog. The barking dog is not happy. They aren't. They're not happy. A calm, quiet dog, submissive dog is a happy dog. Just thinking that the dog is happy because it's running around wagging its tail, or the dog loves you because it's jumping up and down real excited, you're foolish. You're foolish. A calm dog can like you, and I'm saying like, not love, because dogs can't love, because love is a human emotion. It's a complex human emotion. The dog doesn't have the gray matter available to feel that emotion of love, but they sure can like you a lot, and that's what you want. You want that dog to like you a lot. Love does not exist in the dog world. It doesn't. It doesn't. Charlie can never love me. He can't, but he can like me a lot, and that's okay. The dog, they don't have to deal with all that. We're the emotional animal, and they don't have to deal with this. They're lucky. They don't have any idea about taking metal from the Earth's crust, melting it down, and making a spaceship. They have no idea that this is even possible. It's just what they are. It's fine. Don't ever think of your dog in a human way. It's non-human. It's non-human. And thinking about your dog in a human way does a disservice to the dog. It'd be the same thing as if a human being was treated like a dog. Think of it like that. You wouldn't do that, right? No. Because we're not. We're humans. We need to be treated like humans. So treat your dog like it's a dog. Remain calm. And I know it's frustrating at times. Some dogs, Tonka was real frustrating to deal with as a puppy. Real frustrating. But it doesn't do any good to sort of like lose it. It doesn't. Try and remain as calm as you can, and when you get frustrated, maybe get away from the dog, take a break or whatever. Don't let that barking affect you too much. Just sort of tone it out and know that it's part of being a puppy. If your puppy's making a lot of noise, it's a healthy puppy. It's no indication that the puppy is going to be a maniac as an adult. It's just being a puppy. My dog Ike, he was relatively obnoxious as a puppy, but as an adult, he never says a word. He's never barking, Tonka, on the other hand, I think I've said this before, when I went down to pick Tonka up, I searched for Tonka for about 6 months, me and my dad, and then when we found him, the one thing that I didn't consider was how vocal are the parents, right? It was a vet in Georgia, and he had about 45 dogs, all GSPs and Brittany's, mostly GSPs. And when I pulled up, every one of them went off, and they just did not stop. They kept going, barking the whole time. And I thought to myself, fuck, I didn't even consider how vocal are the dogs. I didn't. I got Tonka anyway. I was like, well, what the fuck? I'm just going to deal with it. And that's what I've done. So if you get a vocal dog, just deal with it. And all puppies are vocal. Remain calm. It gets easier in some respects. It does. But with 4 million dogs dying every year, it's certainly not easy to train a dog. If you have the funds to get someone else, like hire somebody like me to train your dog and get it to a certain point, and then you can work with the dog trainer, it's a great way to do it. That's an intellectual way to do it. That's really thinking, you know? Hire the dog trainer to wake up in the middle of the night. Hire the dog trainer to get the dog through this puppy period where it'll be easier. Charlie will be going home. He'll be over 4 months old, and a lot of this will be worked out. I'm not saying that Charlie at, you know, a certain age, he's, you know, when he's going home, then his owner won't have to do some stuff. Charlie's still going to be a young puppy, but a lot of it is going to be, you know, so much easier. This period of 7 weeks to 4 months can be trying for the owner, but this period from 7 weeks to 10 years can be trying for most owners, and that's why so many dogs are dying every year. They either get banished to backyards, or they end up in the system, or they're just let out on dirt roads. How often does that happen? All the fucking time. The problem is lack of training, improper training, or no training at all. Look at Charlie. Charlie, what do you got there? When they pick stuff up in their mouth, just keep yanking it out of their mouth, saying no. They're puppies, they're teething. Go get yourself a deer antler. You can buy them at most pet stores, or you can buy them online. It works as a great pacifier. Remember, if the dog is doing something, it's not barking. If it's chewing on something, it's not barking for anything. It's leaving you alone. You're going to get some peace. You can use pacifiers when they're young like this. It's fine. Just make sure you're using an appropriate one that is natural. My recommendation is deer antlers. They work great. Charlie! Look at Charlie's so cute. Charlie, sometimes I'll just I'll bring him out here and just look at him, and it's just like, look at this guy. It's like a munchkin face. It's a little naughty, though.
Yeah, I'm not as naughty as Trump. He likes to get peed on. I don't like to get peed on.
That's true, Charlie. You're not that naughty. Trump's a lot naughtier.
You're damn right he's naughtier. He's disgusting. He's a fucking pig.